Hey everybody, welcome into Between the 20s. I'm Bryce, here as always with Mike and Amer. Guys, how you doing heading into week 13?
Oh, it's a big week. In most leagues, in most functioning leagues at least, your playoffs should be starting. That's just what I think. You should start your playoffs as early as possible. Week 13, I think, is the good time because then you dodge the week 17 plague of players not playing. So, big week. We're starting the fantasy playoffs. It's big time.
Yeah,
This
never
is it.
included week 17.
All the
Never
marbles,
include your week
all the
17s.
marbles are this weekend and moving forward. This is what it's all about.
I don't know, I have some mixed feelings going into this week. I was 3-2 personally in my fantasy. Was it week 12? So I don't know. I was rooting for Robert Woods and Marquise Brown to put up a combined 70 spot yesterday.
They did pretty good.
Actually, combined 60. Excuse me.
They did pretty good.
They came
but
close.
not
Marquise
combined
Brown looked like
70.
he was. I mean, if Lamar Jackson just targeted him a little bit more after the first 2 touchdown passes,
If they completed the third touchdown pass, hit him in the chest.
would have been a little bit better. Robert Woods and that Rams offense is not looking too good against the Ravens.
Yeah, they're
yesterday.
done.
No, they're
Rams are
terrible.
done.
I don't know if they're done. They still got Clay Matthews, great linebacker, who they were
He's just
attacking
trying
all
to
night,
protect
according
his
to Booger.
Rams are the 6th seed in the
According to
NFC
Booger.
They're
prediction.
they're
Aaron
two
Donald.
games.
They're terrible.
They're already-
In the third quarter, I think he had 0 through the third quarter when I was watching. He had 0 tackles, 0 quarterback rushes.
Yeah, they
Well,
are
that's
2
'cause
games
Lamar
out
Jackson's
of
not in the pocket
the
for you to
six
That
rush.
is true. That is true. That is true. But
2 games.
and I think that's right. How can we forget? Our buddy Bryce has something to say.
I still don't like him. I still don't. I will concede that he's been a good quarterback this year as a dual threat.
Who is he?
Lamar Jackson. That being said, if you're asking me today to start a team with any quarterback in the league, I am still taking Patrick Mahomes
I agree.
every single time. Lamar Jackson is going to get hurt at some point, but I will concede. His passing, I watched the game last night. What really turned me around was the little sidearm throw he made on third down in the red zone. I was very, very impressed by that. Came out tight spiral, awkward
Matthew
arm
Stafford's
angle.
been doing that for years.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Lamar
Has
Jackson. do
Matthew
that.
Stafford been winning games?
Lamar Jackson can do it with his legs, certainly.
The
Can
Lions'
kind of
defense
do
ever
it
been
with his
good?
arm.
You're really blaming the line struggles on the defense.
I'm just
They
saying.
got Matt Patricia, expatriate.
I'm still taking, to start a team at this day, though, Pat Mahomes, and I'll probably take Russell Wilson. Still is my MVP pick.
Folks, for those keeping track at home, it's been 12 weeks, and Bryce has finally come through with a very veiled admittal of
Admission.
admission.
Don't worry, he'll still suck eventually when he tears his ACL. It's just
Oh,
a matter
man.
of time. RG3, just look at RG3.
Hater.
He,
Hey, he got some playing time last night, though.
He did.
It does take some.
if you want a fun fact, the last 2 times in the last 2 games that the Ravens punted, both drives were led by Robert Griffin. So if you're not
Yeah.
counting kneel downs, Lamar Jackson has scored on every single drive,
6 for
Speaking
6
of-
last
which
night.
is
on
very
touchdowns.
impressive.
And kneel downs are a skill. Gotta be out there, as Dwayne Haskins learned this week.
Hey, I respect it. Good for him.
No,
You
way.
respect that?
You respect
You
it?
He got the dub.
No
he got
way.
the dub.
You
It's in the
respect
bag. It doesn't even matter at that
you tell
point.
me, how many touchdowns did the Dwayne Haskins-led offense score yesterday?
It doesn't matter. They still won.
How many touchdowns did the Dwayne Haskins-led offense?
I don't think any.
Mike,
None.
0.
zero. Dwayne Haskins had fewer yards than Jeff Driscoll.
So what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Darius
that
Geis
doesn't
had-
mean anything.
Darius Geis had fewer yards than Bo Scarborough. They won because they returned a punt. That's why they won.
What does that have to do with Dwayne Haskins taking a selfie?
Yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't his win.
No,
It
my
wasn't his
problem
win.
is just
He's
that
part of the
act
team.
like you've been there before. Act like you actually know how much time's left on the clock.
He hasn't been there before. He's a rookie.
That's true.
Act like it. Act like it. Well, Leonardo DiCaprio got away with everything in that Catch Me If You Can. Just like pretending like he was. Great movie, by the way. Great movie.
All right, after Mike's Oscars plug there from 1994, we'll move into our start-sit show. We have 3 questions for you, and this is a big one because no more buys. The entire player pool is available for the first time since week 3 when we started doing this. And we're starting off with a 12-team PPR question. That's going to be 3 different guys for a flex spot. Devin Singletary, the running back who's now getting the majority of carries. Quick PSA, though. Congratulations to Frank Gore, just past Barry Sanders, for number 3 all-time on rushing yards. Write your ticket to the Hall of Fame, buddy. Frank Gore's going to Canton. But Devin Singletary is the future of this team. He's going up against the Dallas front 7 in Dallas at Jerry World. Curtis Samuel, obviously DJ Moore had a massive week this week, but Curtis Samuel is going up against the Washington Redskins, who we just referenced. Not a good defense. And then Golden Tate, who seems like the pick on the surface, But going up against the good Green Bay Packer defense from a scoring perspective, Jair Alexander is still there, and he's questionable in the concussion protocol. Amer, who are you taking?
I'm going to roll with Devin Singletary this week. As we always say, guaranteed touches is the way to go. Go for that running back if you're questioning in that flex spot. So I'm going to run with Devin Singletary. I'm sure I can keep up with him. But I think that the Bills are going to try to run the ball, try to keep Dak and Zeke off of the field, and you do that with running the ball and getting those first downs, moving the chains, and I think Devin Singletary's the guy to do that. He's looked like one of their best players on offense, close with John Brown and obviously their quarterback Josh Allen, but I think Devin Singletary's going to have a good week. He's the workhorse now. He's kind of taken over the job. So rolling out with Devin Singletary this week over these other two guys.
Yeah, Bryce just pulled him up here. He's 5'7", which means he's taller than only two of us in the room. I would have thought 3 originally, but
yeah, check the tape, Mike.
Okay.
Check on screen. Who's the tallest?
Check.
Me.
I'm 90% legs. We've discussed this before at length. But I'm going to agree. I really don't feel great about any of these guys in question. I mean, Curtis Samuel, the number 2, number 3 passing
Number
option.
4 passing
Number
option.
Greg
Olsen, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey.
And with the way their quarterback's playing, the opponent is also a very good target. So it's like
opposing
5th.
cornerback.
Yeah.
Last week.
Exactly. So I'm going to agree with Devin Singletary just because here you go with the guaranteed touches. You really don't want to mess around. And plus, Golden Tate has that injury situation. I'm not really feeling very comfortable. And remember, this Amer was just forgetting this. So, and if Amer is forgetting something in fantasy football, a lot of people are. It's Thanksgiving week, folks, which means, yes, Thursday is going to be calorie-packed. Hope everybody's ready, preparing themselves. But it's not a light calorie pack like those things in supermarkets these days. Where it's a value calorie pack. No,
What are you talking about?
It's packed with calories.
Yeah, because it's Thanksgiving.
It's packed with calories.
But this is not a food show.
What that means is that you have to get all of your lineup stuff worked out by tomorrow night, and realize that you might have to make some tough decisions between players, as we're going to talk about in our next question, I think. But still, I like Devin Singletary. That's a long way of saying, yeah, guaranteed touches, basically.
In case you weren't aware, Mike said that because Devin Singletary is playing on Thursday against the Cowboys.
Yes,
of course,
Thursday
Cowboys and Lions always have Thursday games on Thanksgiving, and then Thursday nighter is going to be New Orleans and Atlanta for what actually I think is going to be a really, really good game. New Orleans is going to come in looking to win. They got embarrassed by Atlanta last time.
They got to win. They can't lose this game.
I'm taking New Orleans minus infinity. They're going to win this game handily. Breeze is not going to be beat by them twice.
I don't
I
know.
think you'll recover that line, Bryce.
They haven't looked good recently.
That's not the question at hand right now. I'm also going to take Devin Singletary.
Guaranteed touches.
No.
That's all 3 of us.
Oh.
That was weak.
So, for me, it is yes about the guaranteed touches. But Devin Singletary, since becoming the full-time starter against Washington 4 weeks ago, he has had 15 or more touches every single week and set 10 or more touches each of the last 4 weeks, 15 or more touches in 3 of the last 4, and set a career high in both yards and touches last week against Denver with 21 carries for 106 yards. He also has only found the end zone once in the last 4 weeks. That's bound to change. And I think he'll be using the passing game a little bit more with what should be neutral to negative game script against the Dallas Cowboys. So Devin Singletary is going to get some work. I like him over the other two. Just Curtis Samuel is 2 touchdown dependent, and what we saw with DJ Moore this week was absurd. He's the guy. I've always said he was the guy. He's finally turning into touchdown potential. And then Golden Tate, I'm just iffy with the injury, and I'm not going to wait that out.
Yeah, that's one of the things. That's this week. So that was to try to contextualize my statement. Devin Singletary's playing a Thursday game here. You got to be strategic about it because Devin Singletary's off the table after Thursday. Golden Tate will still be on the table, but Golden Tate has an injury risk where he may not play.
Yeah, you might not want to wait on Golden Tate and just play it safe and roll out with Devin Singletary. So that's what we're recommending, all 3 of us. So
Absolutely.
play it safe.
Next one is a 12 team. This time it's a half PPR. And our favorite question here, pick 2.
It's a running back question.
It is our running back questions. It's 4 different running backs here, so we're looking at.
And a little bit of that game theory going on that we just had with the Thursday game. How do we deal with this?
So we have, first up, Joe Mixon with the now, once again, Andy Dalton-led Cincinnati Bengals, who are still defeated, going up against the New York Jets. James Conner, the perennially injured, and he is also questionable, heading into the game against Cleveland on Sunday. Phil Lindsay in Denver going against the Chargers. He also will be playing on Sunday. And then our Thursday dayer, playing at noon on Thursday, is Tariq Cohen for your Chicago Bears against the brutal Detroit Lion defense. Mike, who are your two?
Yeah, so off air before, a little behind the scenes action here. We were just discussing the fact that James Conner probably not going to play this week. While on air is our medical professional, Bryce actually had the insight on this one. Can you explain to us exactly why?
So the issue with an AC
Our own
joint.
Stefania Bell is here.
Physical therapist, yeah.
The issue with an AC joint is going to be, can he stabilize the shoulder? Obviously, the Steelers are in contention for a playoff position. This is a must-win game, as Amr was saying, against the Browns. But they do have games coming up against Baltimore in Week 17, which could be fighting for their lives, and Buffalo in Week 15, another tough test. So the question is going to be, if he's 80%, which I think he'll be at worst, do they still play him? I don't know, because we're not sure if James Conner's shoulder is going to be, as he says, and the trainers say with the Steelers, stabilized.
There you have it. So James Conner probably not going to play this week. I think you got to go Tariq Cohen, I'd say. I like Tariq Cohen here. It's more, you don't really want to go Joe Mixon. The Jets are good. The Jets' defense is good. I mean, they gave up 3 points to the Raiders. The Bengals are worse than the Raiders. It's going to be bad out there for Cincinnati. So I'm going to go Philip Lindsay and who was their other option? Philip Lindsay and Tariq
You said
Cohen.
Tariq Cohen. You haven't even mentioned Philip Lindsay yet.
It's the Detroit Lions defense isn't very good. At least doesn't strike me as very good. The Chargers
But
defense is
neither's the Bear offense. They
That's-
put up
that's
19 against the Giants.
yeah, that's true. Oh man, it's true.
Oh man.
Anyway,
Yeah, no question.
quote of the week though from Steelers coach Mike Tomlin, when asked if he was prepared to bench Mason Rudolph, did you hear what his response was? You guys know how I am. I plan hardcore, but I'm light on my feet.
All right, Mike.
So
Whatever
be
you
ready
say,
in
Mike
case
Tomlin.
Wednesday, maybe gotta be a little light on your feet if things change here. Get them gut feeling.
So we're going here Phil Lindsay and Tariq Cohen, yes?
Just commit, Mike. Come on.
I'm gonna go Joe Mixon and Phil Lindsay. Joe
Okay.
Mixon is the number one back. I mean, it's tough.
You were just
The
talking
Jets
up
defense-
Tariq Cohen. Now he's
The
not
Jets
even
defense
in
isn't
there.
very good. I'll go. Yeah, that's my final answer. So it's
All
very
right.
difficult.
Well-
very, very difficult decision. Light on my feet though. You see that? Planned hardcore for this, but I have to be light on my feet.
Whatever you say, Mike.
Hopefully Amir can be a little more concise with his
I
words.
will be, because I'm starting with Phil Lindsay. He's, for now, the best out of these four guys, especially against the Chargers. They've been up and down. They kind of struggled last week against the Chiefs, and they had one good game against Green Bay, but one of these other guys, James Conner, had a great week against the Chargers, so I'm looking for Phil Lindsay to have a good week this week. He's got a lot more guaranteed touches than some of these other guys. James Conner, I don't think you can start him this week at all. Even if he plays, I think this offense with Devlin Hodges is not going to be any better than they were last week. Against Cincinnati, they barely won that game. And so between Tariq Cohen and Joe Mixon, I am also going to roll with Mike and take Joe Mixon. He's going to get more volume than Tariq Cohen, and I think that's going to be the key thing here. He is not. I think you can temper expectations compared to the past couple weeks with Joe Mixon. He's had a lot more carries with Ryan Finley than he's had so far this season with Andy Dalton, but I still think Joe Mixon's the pick here. He's got a chance to get in the end zone because he's their best player on offense, but I'm not happy about it, but I'm rolling with Joe Mixon and Phil Lindsay this week.
Definitely, I agree with both of you. I'm taking the bell cows. Phil Lindsay, Joe Mixon. You're right. The Jet defense is fairly good against the run. Temper expectations for him, but this is half PPR, so Tariq Cohen's value drops even further. And that being said, I'm not sure what the game script's going to look like. Who knows what's going to happen with Mitchell Trubisky facing off against Jeff Driscoll, Battle of the Titans there in Denver. And James Conner is just too much of an issue. If they do say he's 100%, and if he does practice tomorrow, or if he does practice on Thursday, then you can go into it with more confidence, but I don't think that's going to happen. So Phil Lindsay, Joe Mixon is the bell cows for this pick 2.5 PPR league.
In doing that, you also open yourself up to the opportunity to start James Conner because they're all Sundays.
Correct. You
Yeah.
have two viable Sunday options here, and you might as well wait it out. And why waste one on the touchdown-dependent Tariq Cohen in half PPR formats?
I don't know how light on his feet Mike Tomlin was when he stopped the guy returning that kick, though, on the side.
Hey, he got out of his way pretty quick. He didn't make any contact.
That's
so,
true, but
I mean, yeah, he got out of the way, so maybe he could play safety for the Steelers. Who knows?
One day. Well, that's Minka's job. I think Minka's doing it pretty well. But our last question of the day is a 12-team full PPR. Another pick two, but hold on to your hats for a second because we have 5 guys in the running.
that
Jonathan-
sounded like a Mike quote there.
Hold on.
Jonathan Williams, the upstart running back, or not really upstart, he's pretty old, running back for the Indianapolis Colts, who's replacing Marlon Mack against the Tennessee Titans. Brandon Cooks, back from injury, had 2 catches for 30 yards last week, going up against the 32nd ranked fantasy pass defense, Arizona Cardinals. David Montgomery, the other running back on the aforementioned Bears, playing Thursday night. It was 4 guys, not 5. Lastly is going to be Deebo Samuel. He showed up the last couple weeks, looked pretty good, has had a touchdown last week, and then tremendous amounts of yards and touches the 2 weeks before that. But Baltimore Raven defense there. This is going to be a showdown, could be a Super Bowl preview this week between San Fran and Baltimore. Mike, we'll kick it to you first. Which 2 are you taking?
I was afraid you were going to say that. So Deebo Samuel is an intriguing option for me, but I just feel like that Ravens defense is so good. I mean, yesterday they just shut down the Rams. I mean, it was rough for Rams owners out there. And then, it's really not. Jonathan Williams is a good option. I like Jonathan Williams going up against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense isn't necessarily great. Jonathan Williams is the RB1 now in Indianapolis. Despite my man Naheem Hines and Jordan Wilkins both being out there. Shout out to those rostering those guys, because you're in some deep leagues out there.
Or you just haven't checked your team since the draft.
That's true.
One or the other.
And then, so that's going to be my one. And then Brandon Cooks versus Dave Montgomery. Brandon Cooks is going up against that Arizona defense. Obviously not very good, but there's also the Cooper Kupp option and the Robert Woods, obviously. And you saw in garbage time yesterday, even in garbage time, they're not looking at Brandon Cooks or Robert Woods. They're looking at Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is the guy getting the receptions out there.
Robert Woods had a good game last week.
Yesterday?
Yeah, 97 yards. I think 9 for 97 or 7 for 97.
He had like 15 points. This was not
That's
bad.
good.
It's not
Game.
bad. It's
That's a
not
good
bad,
game.
but I'm just
That's
saying.
a wide receiver 2 game.
Yeah.
I'm aware. I
Maybe
know.
not this week with Chris Godwin putting up God knows how many points.
But he's not
And
named
Jarvis
Brandon
Landry.
Cooks.
And Jarvis.
He's
And
not named
OBJ
Brandon
had
Cooks.
20
Yeah,
points.
that's right. This
OBJ,
question.
baby, had his touchdown.
Okay, big guy.
And David
I'm sorry.
Montgomery has that Thursday game at the Lions. So, oh man, a lot of tough.
Why do you
Who
hate
are
the
you
Thursday
taking?
game? We're not.
I'm
There are
gonna
no
go-
questions in this.
I'm gonna go with David Montgomery. I think that the Detroit Lions defense really isn't that strong. I like the fact that he's going to get a lot of touches on that Bears offense that really can't move the ball that well. But I mean, I don't like the Brandon Cooks variable going up against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I really wanted
Take
you to
it away,
say
boys.
Brandon Cooks just so that I could disagree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to agree. Somehow agreeing with Mike. Sweeping this week with Mike Vetter.
Oh boy.
I gotta run
Week
with.
sweep.
I gotta go with Jonathan Williams. Last 2 weeks, he's proved he's the bell cow. He's the guy in Indianapolis. They're using him a lot, and that offensive line is just amazing. They're like a brick wall in front of.
Weak sweep. Strong boys.
What?
Weak sweep. Strong
God.
boys. You got a strong offensive line.
I gotta cut this out of the video, man. And then I gotta agree with David Montgomery. I think since this is a full PPR league, David Montgomery's kind of one of the receivers in Chicago, along with Tariq Cohen. And Detroit's just not good at all this year, so I gotta roll with him. Like we talked about Brandon Cooks, we just don't know where he fits in this offense. And Deebo Samuel he had a chance to get a big play like he did last week against the Packers, but he's definitely not the number one guy in that pass catching group. That's obviously George Kittle for San Francisco. So I'm rolling again, agreeing with Mike, David Montgomery, and Jonathan Williams.
I'm also going to say Jonathan Williams, bell cow, 21.1 PPR fantasy points last week. For those of you with standard PPR scoring, no bonuses. He looked very good. Yes, it was Houston, but it was also on a short week with very little preparation time for him coming in as the starter. He looked really, really good. And the Colts, 4th highest percentage of rushing plays this year, 2nd since week 8. So second half, they've really emphasized the run. Frank Reich is running the offense very well. Jonathan Williams is going to be 1. But what kind of show would this be?
Without some
If-
disagreements.
I didn't give you a different take. David Montgomery,
An accurate one, probably.
we all know that David Montgomery is my guy.
Yeah, how the times have changed.
Yeah.
He's looked brutal.
Boo.
This.
He's looked so
Boo.
bad.
Look
he
at
mustered
this.
30
What happened to he's a
yards.
running back too? He's 24. but
He
he's still
mustered
running back.
30 yards against the Giants. That's terrible. That is awful. Matt Nagy is being too inventive. I didn't think that was possible. But he's being too inventive with his offense until he realizes that we should just ground and pound. David Montgomery, I don't think should be started. Debo Samuel, I really like.
League
I
dependent.
do.
League dependent.
I,
For those of you in your
Of
16-team
course.
leagues,
Leagues.
start David
Yeah, of
Montgomery.
course.
I really do like Debo Samuel. But George Kittle is back and fully healthy. Emmanuel Sanders, back and fully healthy. Last week he did have 13 fantasy PPR points. 2 catches, though. And one of them was a 40-yard touchdown. That's where all of his points came from.
Yep.
11 of his 13. I'm not going to trust that. I'm actually going to take Brandon Cooks. It's a bad
Someone has
Arizona team. They got to do something different. McVay's going to try something different. They got embarrassed last night by the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe he features Cook. I really hope so. Cooks. I really, really hope so. And I might as well give you a hot take here. Brandon Cooks is going to have double-digit points this week.
Okay. I mean, it
He
could
hasn't-
happen.
Brandon Cooks has not had Brandon Cooks
Every
has
time
not
Bryce does
had
this, it's always interesting.
double-digit
Yeah.
points
Since
since week 4. Week 4. He also hasn't had more than 6 receptions since week 4. Yes, he's been hurt for 2 of those, and one was a bye. But still.
And in week 7, he had 9.9. So I don't know how much of a difference that 10-point threshold will be.
and he played the Ravens this past week.
But I guess the reason I'm not going with Brandon Cooks is you can't ask Jared Goff to throw more than he has. He's been brutal this year. So if they're going to make a change, I think it's going to go in the opposite direction. They're going to need to feature their running backs more.
But that offensive line has not been good. They are a subpar offensive line this year. I think they're going to have to take shots. Somehow, this offense is going to have to move the ball. And if they can't do it on the running game, they might as well just go for big plays with Brandon Cooks.
I don't know. I think the Rams are done, no matter what.
Oh, don't get me wrong. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Defending NFC
But
champs, boys.
they're not gonna make the
Defending
playoffs.
NFC champs.
But they're going to try something out. Sean McVay is too innovative not to.
Aaron Donald, Clay Matthews, Jalen Ramsey.
It's not-
Mike, you could have made this
it's
argument last
not
year with
that
the
good.
Eagles. They won the Super Bowl, then they didn't make the playoffs the next year. Or they made the playoffs, but
Or
they...
the Atlanta Falcons
barely
made
got
the Super
in.
Bowl, then flame out.
Well, they won the Super Bowl, though. 28, they won 28-3, no?
Yeah, you went to bed at halftime.
That's not true. I was tackled after Tom Brady came back. There is video of that.
Good
There is
stuff,
footage.
All right, that's it. Thank you all for being here for either your last week of your regular season or your first week of your playoffs. We hope this was helpful. We hope that our listeners enjoy our takes. All of you that gave questions, we let you know before we put this out too. If you ever have any questions, feel free to DM us. Follow us up here, any of these links, Twitter, Facebook, comment on this video. Anything that you want answered, we'll get you for the next couple of weeks as the fantasy football season and the NFL season begins to wind down. But with that, happy Turkey Day. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Get those calories.